A photography degree, is it worth it? That was the topic of the very first show of Shoot to the Top. And as Marcus and I are taking a holiday over the next few weeks, we've been digging through the archives, and this is one of the shows I chose. We can imagine Marcus's viewpoint on this being a university lecture, but I will be there pushing back against that. And so you can hear our thoughts on that really important question that photographers are asking again and again. Should I just start out and learn from experience, or should I get on a course, get on a degree, do learning that way first, or does a combination work? All of these and more we talk about in this fascinating first ever episode of Shoot to the Top.
Welcome to Shoot to the Top, a podcast for professional photographers with web designer and marketer Sam Howarth and professional photographer with over 20 years in the industry, Marcus Ahmad.
Hello, Marcus.
Hey there, Sam. How you doing?
Very good. And you?
I'm really well, and so looking forward to today's show because we're going to be talking about a subject that is really close to my heart. So I'm really looking forward for us to dive into that.
Degree in photography, which is what today's show is all about.
Ah,
So today's show
I like
is
what you've done there.
photography education. Agree or disagree? And so we're going to use Marcus's specialist knowledge here, as he has a degree in photography, I believe. Marcus, do you want to take us back to the beginning and your degree?
Yeah, I've got a degree in photography. It's in editorial photography. And I've just noticed in forums, a lot of people talking about whether you need a degree in photography or to be a commercial photographer. People are saying, oh, it's better to have a business degree or a marketing degree. And overwhelmingly, people seem to be against photography degrees. Well, look, let's talk about my experience. I did my degree virtually when I started off being a photographer in the mid-90s. I did it, as I said earlier, as an editorial photography in Brighton, which is in the UK. And I had a great time. I really benefited from it. Afterwards, I did to do this little assisting for advertising, and then I started my own career off. And then, ironically, Sam, I went back and became a senior lecturer at university. So I saw both sides of it. So yeah, for me, a degree worked out.
Okay. And then for that initial job you got, were they asking specifically for a photography degree?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? That's the point. People say I've never been asked for whether I've got a degree for any job that I've gone for, except, of course, my job as a senior lecturer. That was very important, having a degree to be able to work at university. But the reason why I'm really for having a degree in photography is a little bit, I look at it a bit differently to most people. Because a degree gives you 3 years where you can really dig deep into a subject, any subject, but we're talking about photography, and then really make mistakes and experiment and really find yourself. And I think that gives you, I would argue, a more of an individual voice. You can find out your style, you can find out what you're about, you can dig deep into subjects that might interest you. Now, to do that without a degree, I think you're not going to do it. You're going to go out there and you're going to start working, or maybe, and then end up in a furrow, as it were, or furrow, where you're stuck in that, and that might be for the rest of your career. So, in some ways, a degree gives you an opportunity to find your wings.
That makes sense. So it's that kind of, you can experiment, you can try different things, and you've not got that commercial pressure on you that it's for the next client. If you spend a lot of time and go down a rabbit hole and in the end it doesn't work out, that's fine. And it's all just part of the experience and part of the learning process.
Mate, I think you put the nail on the head. Exactly. Now, the counter argument to that, of course, and I totally get this, is the money involved in a degree. You're looking at, in the UK, probably about 30, 40, maybe £50,000, which to start off your photography career that much in depth is really overwhelming. That is the thing that puts me off recommending doing a degree for people, purely the cost. But as far as finding your style goes, I don't think you can beat it.
Yeah, and then other maybe, well, there's a couple other things. Other maybe sort of college course things where it maybe could be a lower cost because it's just a year rather than the
Mm.
3 years where you still get some of that time to experiment, maybe not as quite as much. And then also are the mixed degrees, are the
Yeah.
people providing degrees where they don't just do the photography side, but they also do the business side. So do a bit of the marketing, bit of the finance. So you come out having been
Ah.
able to experiment with photography, but also actually with a knowledge of business at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Sam. And maybe that's self-initiated. Maybe you go out there and think, okay, I'm going to take this pot of money and I'm going to invest it in some business courses. I'm going to invest it in some photography courses. And yeah, and basically have a menu that of educate or of needs that you're going to tick off as you go through it. God, I'm really mixing my metaphors there, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's certainly. I was going to say YouTube. I don't really recommend YouTube for teaching deep subjects. It's great for for light learning, as I would call it. But for deep subjects, you probably would. But yeah, you might go and find a mentor, a business mentor, and a mentor who's a photographer, and invest that money or that time with them.
Yeah, that makes sense. So sort of bit more of a mix and match approach, maybe, so that you come out having experimented with photography,
Mm.
got more experience with photography, but also come out with some knowledge of business. Because if you just got that 3 year degree and you've got all the art side there and the understanding side, but if you don't actually understand how to market your business and how to manage the costs of your business, then that could be a big issue.
Yes, but I'd like to just go back to my original point, Sam, about my experiences about being a senior lecturer. I taught on a fashion course, which is a very commercial fashion photography, a very commercial course. And we would get about 60 students coming in every year, which was a lot. And there's a really high demand for photography degrees still. Of those 60 students, I would always probably see about two or three who I thought, wow, they're really going to make it. They've really got a voice, they've got a style, they're really on the path to being to be producing some amazing work. Those are the kind of people that really will benefit from a degree. That really small 1 or 2%, because they don't need to worry about marketing. Their work is so strong that it's gonna people are going to be attracted to them. There's a great book by Dr. Cal Newport, and it's called "Be So Good They'll Come to You," and it's all about this idea about being the best you can, and people will find you. And I think with those particular students I mentioned, yes, they don't need marketing. People will find them for their unique vision. For the rest, and I would count myself when I was a student as being one of the rest, you need to have a business acumen. You need to get out there and you need to network, and all these kind of things that we're going to be discussing on the shows that that are coming up. How to attract business.
That makes sense. And then are the different types of photography degrees? So you said you do editorial photography.
Ah,
Are there some photography degrees that are sort of more down the pure art photography route or more down the journalism photography route, or do they tend to be relatively generic?
you've got a lot of choice out there. Universities are all about attracting students these days, and the student experience and really finding out, courses that will suit them. You could do the one that I did, fashion, that's a popular course, commercial photography, lots of art-based courses, and lots of general courses as well. And I've had experience of teaching into lots of different courses and overseeing them as well at different universities, and they've all got their thing to offer. The degree that used to be around, which isn't so popular these days, Sam, you might remember this, is the fine art degree,
Yep.
which was all about basically dipping your toes in and trying lots of different things: painting, sculpture, photography, media, digital, mixed media, all these things. I've always thought, to me, that's especially moving forward in this climate of change, and that doing a mixed degree, something like that, is going to give you a very much more rounded view on things, not just specializing in photography, but learning other things as well. That struck me as being a good degree to do. But really, it's all about just giving you time to experiment and make mistakes with guidance from your tutors. And I think that is really invaluable. I think these days it's all about being different, isn't it? If you want to get work, you've got to be different. You've got to have your own personal brand, and people have got to see you as being something unique. And what better way to do that than to really dig deep into your photography and find your own voice?
Yeah, that makes sense. And in some ways, then I guess it doesn't matter if you're doing an art photography degree or a fashion photography degree, because you're still experimenting with photography. And you could do, as you say, a 3 year fashion photography degree, but actually then end up and doing something quite different. But you've time to develop style, develop your technique, build on that. Mentorship is clearly really key to this degree, and could, as we talked about earlier, could maybe be another approach, that sort of that sort of mentorship approach, getting a mentor to help you as you develop.
Exactly, and somebody who's gonna, is going to be honest with you as well. And when I mean honest, I mean critical in an academic type of way. Critical of your work, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's my view, and
there's no point having somebody who's just
that's right.
Everything you do is great, is there?
That's exactly right. Exactly. Yeah, it's got to be hard work. It's got to be something that you've got to really start digging deep into into your ideas and trying things out, and not always succeeding. That's the under this sort of safe environment of the university, of the degree. I mean, it's an argument I put forward. I think a lot of people still think, oh no, you might, if only I'd learned marketing instead. It is a valid point. It is a valid point.
Yeah. So in summary, I think what we're saying is that chance to develop is really powerful and really useful, that chance to not have the commercial pressure and develop yourself. But whether that needs to be the full 3-year degree or maybe some form of mentorship or maybe a course where you get that chance but it's a little bit shorter or combined with some business knowledge are all good options.
That's a good summary, Sam. Exactly. Look at the options, as you say, see what's available to you, but don't be too blinkered to the idea of investing in yourself.
Definitely. Right. Thank you for that, Marcus. Really good talking to you, and look forward to catching up with you next time.
And you too.
We hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. You can like and subscribe on your usual podcast platform. You can find Sam and Marcus on LinkedIn and at websiteforphotographers.co.uk/podcast. See you next week.